We've talked a lot about what capital city there could be in Northrend for the Last Titan. We know we're going back to Northrend. We also know that our previous capital city of Dalaran has been pulverized, right? It's been turned into dust. So where are we going to stay in our next journey? I've talked about, oh, it'd be really cool if we had a Vrykul city, because it's been like 20 years since we've been to Northrend, so maybe there's a new Vrykul established city there. Maybe there's people have suggested Ice Crown as a potential city, but what about this one? Naxxramas returns as a neutral hub in The Last Titan. This is an interesting one. Let's see what Doran has to say.
The last time we heard about Naxxramas was from the official book post Shadowlands. It was said that Naxxramas was still active, and not only active, but apparently it was waiting for something. There is just something eerie about the whole thing. Recently, Kel'Thuzad was hinted to be in a different dimension, potentially alive. Denathrius is very likely returning as the real creator of the Scourge, but the most interesting scenario is that could we literally
What did he say? Denathrius is returning as the creator of the Scourge? The hell, is that confirmed? Or Doran just spitting shit out? I don't even know. That's the first time I heard that one.
Take Naxxramas and use it as our new capital in Northrend. Back in the day, we had a floating city of Dalaran that is now long gone, and Naxxramas is like the dark version of Dalaran that we could potentially repurpose and use as our main base of operations against the Titans. So what will be happening with Naxxramas in The Last Titan? If you like hunting achievements in WoW, PlayTracker is literally the perfect website for you. You probably don't just...
I'll be honest though, if we get Naxxramas as a hub city, I kind of feel duped as a Death Knight. Because it just feels like the Arcreus or whatever, the freaking hub that we got for our class. It looks like our class hub, so like there's nothing very exciting about it for Death Knights. It just feels like a copy-paste of that. Everybody else is going to feel like it's something new, but I feel like Death Knights won't.
Description below and check out playtracker.net. So with us going back to Northrend, the big discussion that arises is what is going to happen with the legendary Naxxramas. Unbeknownst to many, Nax is not actually gone. A few years back, we got the book exploring Azeroth Northrend. This was like from the perspective of revisiting Northrend post Shadowlands after the dust had settled in the area, and it covered what is going on in Northrend after...
Constitute in chat says the city will be Ulduar. Anyone who doesn't know that doesn't know the story of Midnight. And how it's going to end. I mean, Ulduar is going to be relevant. That's like 100% guaranteed. That's the easiest Kalshi bet you could ever place. Ulduar is going to be relevant in The Last Titan, of course. And as a hub city, though, I don't know about that.
Everything as lore-wise, Northrend is a completely different place than it was that you can currently visit in the game, because the zone is essentially frozen in time in the Vrat era. Not only did we get the changes to Northrend from like Vrat to Shadowlands, but there was also the time skip that happened post Shadowlands, which was the last status update,
years.
But changes could have also happened in the meantime during the saga itself, as well as Dragonflight. So, in regards to the book, which is the last official update that we got about Northrend, the big thing about Naxxramas is that Muradin himself noted that something is just going on with this floating citadel. It is still floating around in the area, but there's just something eerie about it, as if it's waiting for something to happen. It is like preparing for someone to return, and it was left at that. Well, that was the last latest update, which got many of us to wonder what is going to happen with Naxxramas in The Last Titan, as we are going to get the announcement in like a month. Currently, a few scenarios are possible, but there is a possibility that we could actually take Naxxramas and turn it into Dalaran 2.0. Actually, for months there was a discussion what is going to be our new capital in Northrend. Back in Wrath we had the iconic Dalaran that was in the center of the continent, and we did everything from that place. Now, Dalaran is completely gone, and almost certainly it is not going to be built as a new floating city in the very near future. Now, that leaves us with a few options. The most likely ones were the Wormrest Temple, which could be highly relevant with...
Wormrest Temple, though, doesn't excite me either. It just feels like Dragonflight 2.0. Like, do I need another dragon city? This one's obviously Titan-inspired, but there's... I don't know. They would have to change it up completely. Right now, Wormrest Temple is just like it's a dildo in the middle of Northrend. There's nothing there. Yes, you can go under slightly, and there's dungeons, but I mean they would have to completely revamp this, and I just don't find it to be exciting. Like we did a dragon city. I don't need another dragon city right now.
Dragonflight in our recent Dragon Aspect experience, and then we could possibly overtake the Icecrown Citadel from the Scourge and use that, or
That one too, I'm not sure about. Icecrown Citadel as a hub city. I mean, it's just, I feel like it takes away some of the danger and ominousness of the Icecrown Citadel. Like, even though the Lich King's not really sitting up there anymore, there's still something about it that you look at it and you're like, oh man, this place is not to be fucked with. And then you run in and you try to get invincible again. But other than that, it still feels very ominous. I don't know if I want it to be a hub city, which just makes it like a very friendly site. You just land there and do whatever the fuck you want.
that, or we could potentially take over a wing of Ulduar. However, a highly
The wing of
likely
Ulduar is what
option,
you suggested,
and something
huh?
that actually makes a lot of sense, is that we could repurpose Naxxramas and just use that. As far as we know, the Scourge still controls it, but it is weakened, and it will be the perfect replacement for Dalaran, as it is like the dark version of Dalaran, but it
another
is
floating
also
city.
around the same size. I mean, we could get the Death Knights of the Ebon Blade doing like a raid on it, just taking it for ourselves, and then we could use the whole thing. The big possibility is that in the last Titan, the Titans are obviously going to return to Ulduar, and it makes the most amount of sense. I mean, we've known forever like Ulduar is the main base of operations for the Titans for Azeroth, but recently in the War Within, we've learned that all Titan facilities are actually like interconnected and very likely controlled from Ulduar itself. I somehow feel like that when the Titans come back, they're going to take over Ulduar, so there will be like hostile territory, and it is also possible that Ulduar itself could become airborne. Remember how the Titan
Airborne
Odin
Ulduar,
took a
damn.
wing of Ulduar and lifted it in the air? It is possible that the main Titan base could be a version of this.
I could imagine this being like some sort of raid. Not necessarily this right here, but the image, the Warrior Order Hall. Because that was a big thing for Odin. I think we're going to kill Odin. I think he's a piece of shit. We're going to eventually fight him as some sort of raid boss or something.
Not just a wing, but like the whole thing could be in the air. So our counter
He's
to
basically
that
a
could be
Titan
the floating
pleb.
citadel of Naxxramas that we could repurpose, and we could move it right into the Storm Peaks so that we could deal with the Titan threat. In my opinion, that could be a very interesting and a very possible scenario. However, there are also multiple other scenarios because the book hinted that the Citadel was waiting for someone to come. In that case, it could also become a new raid, and it could either be the return of Kel'Thuzad or potentially...
That's a fucking joke, right? I think we've I think we've legitimately killed Kel'Thuzad as a raid boss 3 times now. We killed him in the Shadowlands too. Like, we killed him so many times that we chased him to the afterlife and killed him again. Like, that man has no rest. And I know we did the quest line with his spirit and shit, but I think that's just kind of like a remnant, like a, I don't know, like a visual message that he left behind. It's not really like his soul that can re-enter a body or something. 4 if you count Warcraft 3. Yeah, so I mean, Kel'Thuzad's died enough. I don't think we need him as a raid boss again.
More interestingly, Denathrius. So here's the thing, I mean, Kel'Thuzad is like the guy that just keeps coming back non-stop. I mean, we thought he was gone for good back in the Shadowlands, and then a few years back we found out Kel'Thuzad actually locked like a fragment of himself in this pocket dimension, which could mean that he has the possibility of returning in some other way. Plus the entire phylactery and all that stuff, there is a lot that could happen with him in the future. We know that the Scourge is going to be relevant in some way in this expansion. Either someone is going to take control over them or do something, or the Void itself could potentially take control over them and do something. I do feel like the return of Kel'Thuzad could be maybe a little bit gimmicky, but there is also another possible like certain scenario that is going to happen, and that is the return of Denathrius. I mean, this has been foreshadowed.
Denathrius is great. I mean, he's very cool, and I love him as a villain. I don't know if they bring him. I used to say for sure he's coming back before the end of the World Soul Saga, and maybe he does. But I also think they could save him for after. I think the Dreadlords could remain a threat. Like, they're much more grounded in like Azeroth OG lore and everything. So I think if we do have like a reset of WoW, like a back to the original, you know, regrounding, we leave space, go back to the forests and fight gnolls and shit like that. Like a WoW 2.0 basically reset. I think you could keep Sire Denathrius around and make the Dreadlords like this overarching threat, like these conniving fuckboys that have been around this entire time. Yes, they weren't the big threat, so we haven't dealt with them yet, but they still infiltrated just about everything. and they've been doing back dealings and all this black magic bullshit, and they've caused a lot of deaths and stuff, and he just becomes like this lingering threat, and soon we end up dealing with him at some point down the line after the reset happens, after the last Titan. So we'll see if he becomes relevant or not. He's a great villain. I hope they don't just throw him away.
For years. If you guys remember recently, we got that Keltus loyalist guy gathering this anima in Silver Moon like energy, and there was this big talk of it potentially being used to summon Denathrius. Furthermore, Denathrius was like one of the only good sides of the Shadowlands, and everyone was talking about his eventual return. I mean, technically, everything is set up for his ultimate arrival. Despite the fact that people attribute most of the shenanigans to the jailer, it was in fact Denathrius that was behind most of the manipulations through his Dreadlord's Denathrism. In fact, he put most of the things in motion. Most importantly, Denathrius is the true master and the creator of the Scourge through Denathrism as well. He so far has the biggest possibility to come and take over the Scourge. However, if he does that, I don't feel like he could do it like from Naxxramas. Very likely he would like control the whole thing from the Ice Crown Citadel. However, as Kel'Thuzad was last seen in the Shadowlands, that connection could be...
I still think the entire prey system and everything, like all that anguish, it very much looks a lot like the Shadowlands shit that we were dealing with back when we were dealing with Denathrius and all the vampire boys. I think that's some kind of Denathrius play. Like, the anguish is going to be used by Denathrius in some way. It's just way too similar. There's too much weird shit going on there.
Important as well. Honestly, at this point, I think there is a lot of potential with Naxxramas and the Last Titan. I think that the return of Kel'Thuzad as like this random mono villain would be a bit cliche, honestly, at this point, but the reuse of the Citadel would potentially be the most interesting scenario. I mean, regardless of speculation, I mean, they will definitely have to do something with the Citadel. It obviously wasn't destroyed in the meantime. It has been in the book. They can now set it up as like waiting for something in the book as well, so something has to happen. I mean, they have to follow up with it. Yes, it has been hinted that Northrend will be changed multiple times, very likely like not shattered like Outland, but with a big Titan arrival and all the events, there is a big possibility that Northrend that we're going to see will be very different than the Northrend that we remember. Technically, Naxxramas shouldn't be affected by this. I mean, it was floating in the air, but they could also like write it off if they don't want to bother, like something like crash it or something and just downed it, and then we get content from there, and that would kind of be the lazy way for them to deal with this storyline. But honestly, in my opinion, the two most interesting scenarios for Nax is either us just taking over the whole thing and repurposing it and using it to fight the Titans, or Denathrius taking it as like his main base of operations and Naxxramas evolving in some way, as after all, Naxxramas is literally copying Shadowlands architecture. It is a building straight out of Maldraxxus, and with the Shadowlands connection, it could technically be like improved, it could be like empowered. Nonetheless, we are going to learn what is going to happen with Naxxramas very soon. Thanks for watching. Check out my video on the potential Tinker class that was leaked as a mod back by clicking on the screen. And also subscribe to my brand new Witcher Lore channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
So, I mean, like, I won't completely shut it down. It's certainly a possibility. Naxxramas being the hub city, it's a floating city. Blizzard can move it around wherever they want. I think that's why Blizzard loved Dalaran, because it's like the perfect copy-paste hub city. You can just take it just about anywhere, any expansion where you need a hub city. Like, hey, Dalaran's gonna show up. You know, we had it on Wrath of the Lich King. Oh, hey, we need a hub city in Legion. Let's put Dalaran over there. We need one in the War Within. Let's put Dalaran over there. Yeah, it's just like, now they obviously deleted it during the War Within, and we didn't actually use it as our hub city, but it was just a very convenient thing for them to use. So another hub city floating around like Naxxramas could be, although it's also got a very dark and dirty vibe to it. And I think Blizzard is a bit sensitive to the fact that putting players in a very dark city for the entirety of an expansion could create some issues. I don't know, you know, players are people at the end of the day, and it's kind of depressing just being a dark-ass city the entire time. Pass, yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but overall, it's a possibility. I still hope for a Vrykul capital city with all my heart. I would love a Viking-inspired capital city with Viking-ass music and playable Vrykul. Let's do that, too, while we're at it. Since we got a playable Amani Trolls already, I could see it happening, totally. A nice video overall from Doran.